Hi there, my name is Hafsat Sani Sami and I'm the creator of Kweyve the brand, but today I'll be your host for Create with Kweyve. Today at Dream House, we have a very special guest, somebody I consider a creative for the creatives. She has gone ahead to co-create a platform which helps to support and amplify the voices of Black-owned and African businesses. So welcome to Dream House. It's so exciting to have you here to actually talk to you about this exciting project that you're working on.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. I think it's very important for creatives not only to be able to create, but to find safe spaces where their voices are heard and their work is seen and respected.
Absolutely.
So in that sense, what you're doing is really amazing. I would like you to take an opportunity to just tell our audience who you are, what you do, and what My Black Gallery is.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Who is Opriche? I am the co-founder of My Black Gallery. I am also a Made in Nigeria enthusiast. I absolutely love Nigerian brands and what we're doing in every single space.
Yes.
I am also a foodie. I love to explore and discover new foods with my husband, and I'm also a recovering perfectionist. So yeah, that's Opriche.
For my first question, I would love to hear from you. I would like to say before we start that I feel like we're living in a climate where there are just so many creatives out there, you know, and we're living in a situation where the world has become a global market with social media and other ways of discovering artists. But I think that it's really cool what you're doing as far as like curating the actual artists, having them listed on your website and having it be a directory where it's like easy for the viewers or lovers of creativity to find these artists.
Absolutely.
So I would love to hear from you where the idea for My Black Gallery came from and why did you feel the need to create something like that right now?
There's a little bit of story behind this. So growing up, for the longest time, I've always been fascinated with Nigerian brands or made in Nigeria products. I've always wanted to use them in my day-to-day, and that kind of amplified even when I left the country. And I really I had that passion for, you know what, Nigeria is producing some really good stuff. And I really want to play a part in amplifying or putting these businesses out there. So that's my personal desire that I've always had. I got connected with Edwin, the founder. She's the brains behind My Black Gallery. I got connected to her and she told me about the idea she had and the passion she had for Black-owned businesses as well as African businesses, and this desire to amplify their voices and to showcase them to the world. And that really connected with me as well. And she wanted to she was in the position to start building or bringing this idea to life. And I'm like, absolutely, yes, sign me up. So we decided that, you know what, let's take this desire and this idea that we have and let's bring it to life. So sometime last year, I would say mid last year, we decided, you know what, let's put our money where our mouth is and let's build this thing. And here we are.
You know, it's so amazing, and especially as a creative myself, I know that I struggled a lot with visibility starting up. You know, it's not easy to kind of find your market or to position yourself in a place where you feel comfortable. So I feel like what you're doing takes away a lot of those stresses, right? Because we creatives are able to trust you in respecting their artwork, but also being able to position them where you see fit or what is perfect for them, right? So as a creative myself, I understand the little obstacles that come in being able to place yourself in the market and being visibly available to your customers or your clientele. So I would love to hear from you how you have overcome the obstacle of visibility in building this platform that you're building.
Okay, So the visibility for MBG or for the creative?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because like there are two things that come to mind when you say visibility, because there is MBG that we're trying to get out there to get, you know, people to know what we're building. And there's also the businesses that we want to also be visible as well. The obstacle that we face, I mean, everyone that has thought about starting a business, doing anything in the public space, there's always that hurdle of how am I going to get people to see what I'm doing? For myself specifically, I found myself in a position that, you know what, how can I get this message out there in the most cost-effective way?
Yes, of course.
And of course, we decided, you know what, let's do social media.
Yes.
So that was what we decided to go with. We decided to go with social media, and we started creating content to tell our story of why we're building MBG, what MBG is all about, what we would love, you know, the community that we're trying to build to, you know, key into MBG and kind of see our passion behind it. Some of the hurdles I face really is having to be comfortable in front of the camera. I can be very shy. So that was something I had to be like, you know what, you have to do this. So, you know, be a big girl, put your big girl pants on.
It's one of the questions I was actually going to ask you, because we live in a time where it's not enough to just be amazing at the work that you do. It requires you to also put yourself out there, to be vulnerable, to create content that drives views to your business or whatever the case is. So what would you say you tell yourself constantly in terms of getting more comfortable with putting yourself out there? Because it's not easy, you know?
It's not.
Yes.
But you know what I discovered? The more you do it, the more comfortable you get.
Definitely.
So I'm sure if I look back at the first video I did and the last one I did, there's a big difference. So what I keep telling myself is, you're trying to build something. There are people out there that would love this, that would want to use this thing you're trying to build. You can do it.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be perfect, because I tend to find myself in this place where I'm like, oh, it's not perfect, do it again. Oh, it's not perfect, do it again. But I'm like, you know what, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. Tomorrow you learn, like, you know, tomorrow you learn to do it in a different way or better. And you just keep pushing. Very beautifully put, because I've come to realize that in a sense, it's a way of keeping ourselves from moving forward that we do, like in a sense, staying comfortable. So you keep telling yourself it's not perfect enough, when really you're just trying to find reasons to not put stuff out. Exactly. So I can definitely relate with that. In terms of when I started, I was so nervous in putting myself out there. You know? I used to write poetry a lot. So for me, it was so scary, even just like putting out my work and, you know. The cringe. Yes. Getting over how embarrassing I look to myself. But it's a real thing that all creatives struggle with. Absolutely. You know, we always think that the worst of what we're creating. But it took a lot of not watching the videos back for me, just putting them out there and telling myself, you know what, the intention behind what I'm doing is what is most important, and I will learn along the way, you know. There's no perfection in a sense. It's just about starting and then growing as we go. And there's even this thing I tell myself, I'm like, consistency is not 100% all the time. It can be 10% today and 20% tomorrow and 50 or 100. But just keep showing up and just keep doing it. You know, I love that, and it really does speak to me because you know, some days you feel absolutely excited to do what you're doing, but some days you don't. But it's a thing of showing up for yourself constantly and just keeping going, you know, that takes you all the way. So yes, there's a lot of creatives out there who want to do like certain different things, whether it's building a platform like yours or starting off something else. How would you say that you've navigated in terms of finding the funding to do the projects that you're doing right now, or you know, just finding the right partner to partner up to bring an idea to life in this way? I think for us, I mean, finding the right partner, it was actually through my husband connected myself and Edward, the founder. So that's how we got together. In terms of funding the platform, I mean, you know how it is trying
Yes.
to build something. You're building something that's currently not generating money.
Yes.
So what we're doing is we're using our own, we're
Personal funds,
we're
yes.
putting in our own personal funds because we're both working. We both have a 9 to 5.
Yes.
So MBG is our 5 to 9. So we're funding it with our personal funds at the moment, and hopefully very soon it starts to fund itself.
Yes, yes. You know,
Yes.
no, I love that you say that. I want people to understand that there's a sense of bravery that has to come in starting things, right? You may not necessarily always have what you need, but it's a thing of putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
A lot goes into creating these things in the beginning, but if you keep going in the long run, it begins to pay off. So it's really important to understand that in beginning.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that
You
that's
have
really
to think
important.
big enough to even want to start.
Yes.
I don't know where I heard this. That if the idea doesn't scare you, it's not big enough.
Yes, true.
I'm like, okay, because there are even times I'm speaking to Edwin in one of our numerous meetings. I'm like, oh wow, Edwin, we're actually doing this. So apart from the personal funds that we're pouring in, we also delegate tasks to ourselves. Edwin is more of the strategy. She's documenting everything. She's putting everything on paper. She's reaching out to the businesses. More of the administrative task, and I'm more of the creative side of the business. So I'm the one figuring out the website. So I'm building up the website. I'm creating the content.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So we're playing on our strengths, which is really helpful because I then don't have to be anxious about what she's doing because I'm like, that's not what, what I find interesting, you know?
Yes.
So it's perfect when you're working with someone and you're able to find your strengths. So that's what we're doing and how we're kind of pouring into
What's
it.
also interesting is at the start of building something new is how we find ourselves like wearing all these hats that we never knew we would. I remember starting up my business and I did everything. I would create the stuff, I would take the pictures, I would edit the pictures, I will create the marketing strategy.
It can be overwhelming.
It's so overwhelming, but when you have a dream, sometimes you're blinded by it, so you're not really bothered by the amount of work you have to do. Honestly, not till I would say the last year or 2 years have I been able to confidently delegate other things.
Was that hard though?
Super hard, especially being the artist. So you have an eye and you have a vision and you expect everything to be a certain way.
Yeah.
It took a lot for me to learn how to pull back and let other people who are even better in certain aspects than I am to actually take control. And I feel like I've been fortunate enough to find people who match up the vision right now. So I think in a sense it's just good sometimes to take a step back. But I definitely understand how in the beginning there's just so much. And it's also a beautiful space to be in because you do find yourself learning new skills that you didn't even realize would be helpful. But here you are creating stuff.
I find myself like taking courses on marketing because I'm like, how do I even do this?
Yes, where do I start from?
Where do you start from? And you just have to learn the things you don't know.
Yes.
And that's where I find myself.
Yes, love it. So the next thing I would love to ask you is, I know that your job is to find these creatives and to be able to amplify their voices and put their work out there. But in yourself as a creative, what is it that you do to stay inspired?
What do I do to stay inspired? I think what I've noticed that keeps me inspired is also kind of being, speaking to other creatives and other business people.
Yes.
It's amazing or it's inspiring when you speak to other business people and you kind of hear their story.
Yes.
You see the journey, you see where they are now, and they're telling you at the beginning it was nothing like this. That really inspires me to keep going. Because when I see people at different levels than I am, I'm kind of at the beginning, we're just about to launch MBG, and I'm speaking or seeing these other people that are doing amazing stuff. It inspires me to keep going. It inspires me to not to give up. And just
There's a relatability, I feel like, in a sense, right? Like hearing from people who are going through the same things as you, or who have been through the same things as you. And sometimes even people who haven't come up to where you are currently. It's like there's a beauty in sharing the story of the process, and it just keeps you going.
And you're like, wow, it's possible.
Yes.
It's possible. I can do it. I'm not crazy. You know, it's absolutely possible, and it's like, just keep going, don't give up. And just seeing other people's work, it really keeps me inspired.
I love that. So we're getting closer to the end, but before we do, I would love to ask you if you have any advice for somebody who is thinking about themselves in a sense. I'm creating the art, I am putting my stuff out there, I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do on my own part. What advice would you give them in terms of what they struggle with when it comes to the visibility of being seen?
What I would advise them is, one, to try.
Yes.
There are so many things that we can do. Like I said, I started with social media. I would say try something. Start from somewhere. Don't get discouraged or stuck in that place where you're like, oh my God, there are so many different options, I don't know what to do. Just start. Start something. Because if you don't start, you're not able, you never know, and you never learn what not to do and what to continue doing. So I would say start. The second thing I would advise is partner up. One thing I've learned is closed mouths don't get fed.
Oh my gosh.
Like building MBG, I've learned that speak to people. You don't even have to like speak to them from a selfish point of view of like, I want to get something from them. But speak to them, tell them what you're building, listen to what they're building, because you don't know who it is that you're sharing this vision with, that you can partner up with, that can even help you, like propel you and make you even more visible. So I think it's very powerful to partner up with other creatives and to work together to make everyone, each of us, as visible as we can.
And I'm so glad that you touch on that, because even as a creative myself, I feel like I struggled with a lot of that in the beginning. You're building something and you're too shy or anxious or whatever the case is to ask for help or to ask for anything from anybody. But what I'm realizing is there's so much power in collaboration.
There is.
Like you said, just speaking on the things that you're working on, just telling people about the things that you're doing. You never know who's like listening. You never know who another person knows. You never know how they can connect you in a way that just helps you build an even bigger dream, you know? So yes, I think that's very important.
That's what I'm realizing from my journey. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep talking.
Absolutely.
It's been working. I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to keep meeting, other business people, other creatives. And we'll see what happens.
I read this saying a few days ago, and it said something like, greatness is on the other side of shame or something. Like, get rid of all the shame that you feel.
Because you will feel the shame.
Yes. The last thing I would like to ask you today is, something we believe here at Dream House is creativity isn't just about the thing that you make, but it's also about the person you become in the process. So if I were to ask you, or if you were to speak to your younger self, what is the one piece of advice that you could give your younger self or to the younger people looking up to you and feeling inspired by what you're about to bring to life?
So what I would advise my younger self, I would say, first of all, follow your gut. And in following your gut, gain knowledge, because you would not know everything. And preparation is key. So when you have the idea, start gaining knowledge. Go learn the things that you need to learn before you actually start. Second of all, I would also like to tell them perfection is a myth. It's a myth. It's not going to be perfect from the beginning. Create it, make sure it's good enough, and send it out, because you can always make updates.
This is so true.
Yeah.
We actually believe that being a perfectionist or too much of a perfectionist is actually a villain of creativity because it keeps you in the spot that you are. You keep telling yourself it's not good enough, I need to change this, but really what you're doing is just stalling on actually letting the idea run wild, you know, and seeing what it might become.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
It was so amazing having you
I
at
enjoyed
Dream
it.
House. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Create with Kweyve, and I hope that you find something that inspires you to carry on building your dream.